Greetings, everyone. Mr. Burton here, coming from you live from the house. So, we're going to deal with the different parts of the note today. All right, it's not going to be too difficult, and we're going to jump right on in there. As you can see, and I already have a staff drawn up top with my treble clef. If you are not sure how to do these, make sure you look at the videos before. Check out how to draw your music staff, 5 lines, 4 spaces. Your treble clef, as it swivels and hovers on that G line there. And the parts of the note as well. So, we're going to go ahead and jump right in, everyone. As you can see, I have 2 notes drawn already, which is the 8th note and the quarter note. All right, let's zoom in here. And now, even though the 8th note isn't the smallest, it's one of the most common smallest notes that musicians use, and even beginning musicians. So we're going to start with the 8th note today as being our smallest note. And like in the previous video, you have your note head, and then you draw a stem, and you give it a flag. Okay. The next note next to it, that's the next largest note after it, is the quarter note. So go ahead and draw your note head, and draw one stem going up or down if you just feel like doing so today. The next note after that, next largest, is the half note. Now, I know some of my other seasoned musicians are like, what about the dotted quarter note and things like that? We're going to get into all of that later. We're just going to deal with the basics today, okay? Okay. So you have your 8th note, you have your quarter note. Next in line, you have your half note. Now, as you can see, with the half note, it's not shaded in like the first 2. All right. So, and that's because it has a greater value than the first 2 as well. All right. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So when you draw your half note, just draw an open note head. And you can go ahead and draw a stem. And the last one we're going to deal with today is the whole note. Okay. And the whole note, it's very similar to the half note when you draw it. You have your open note head there, but it stays just like that. Very simple. So from smallest to largest, you have your 8th note, your quarter note, your half note, and your whole note. So this is how you equal up the values of the note next to it. All right. Let's say I wanted to find out how many 8th notes do I need to make a quarter note. Guess what? It's 2. Because each time you go back down the line, that note before it is half the value of the previous one. So half the value of the whole note is a half note. Half the value of a half note is a quarter note. And half the value of a quarter note is an 8th note. So let's break it down. That means I need 2 8th notes to equal 1 quarter note. I need 2 quarter notes. Let's zoom out here to make sure you can see. I need 2 quarter notes to get the value of a half note. And just like you probably guessed already, if I want to get a whole note from half notes, I need 2 half notes. And that'll get me 1 whole note. Okay? So everything is in multiples of 2. All right? So, let's give a quick quiz before we end today's video. Let's say I wanted to figure out how many quarter notes I can get from a whole note. Well, break it all the way down if you need to. Well, since I know I can get 2 half notes to make a whole note, and if I know I get 2 quarter notes to equal up a half note, what if I just did this? If I needed to break it all the way down, go to these half notes, draw a quarter, 2 quarters for that one, 2 quarters for that one. You see how I did that? So if I know I get 2 quarter notes out of a half note, and 2 half notes equals a whole note, that means 4 quarter notes can go into 1 half note. Easy. Okay? And feel free to leave your send me any questions if you have any questions about anything else, because it can get confusing after some time, but it's like basic math, ladies and gentlemen. And once you get good at this format of knowing what's the multiple of which note, then you can start playing around and really start getting into your own note making and creation of such. And that's pretty much it. Make sure you send me your questions and your responses, and I'll be sure to get back with you in due time. But that is pretty much the inner workings of your basic notes. Your eighth note, your quarter note, your half note, and your whole note. Have a good day, everyone.